Today I'll be taking a look at Warner Bros. Montreal's latest offering, Gotham Knights, which has received a lukewarm reception for the most part. But is Gotham Knights really as mid as people claim? And what about Warner Bros. Montreal's 2013 offering, Batman: Arkham Origins? How does Gotham Knights measure up to that? So without further ado, let's put the spotlight on Gotham Knights and get to the bottom of this ongoing controversy. Chapter 1. Taking up the Mantle. Perhaps the first misstep of Gotham Knights is that Batman isn't in the game. This is because in the Gotham Knights reveal trailer, Bruce Wayne is shown activating the self-destruct sequence for the Batcave, obliterating all of his equipment and himself in the process. I'm not saying this is a problem for everyone or even all fans, but if I had to hazard a guess, I would assume that most people watch movies and play games involving Gotham when Batman is the main protagonist or, at the very least, around for all the action. Maybe it is a bit of a stretch to assume this, but if anything, Gotham Knights is like a spin-off of a main series, and while spin-offs can be successful, they're constantly compared with the main IP. With this in mind, is it really inconceivable to think that the same principle applies here? Psychologically, fans will always make comparisons, and when several previous offerings, whether from the same developer or others, are already impressive and tough to beat, this does make it challenging for a game like Gotham Knights to really carve its own niche in the wonderful world of gaming. So maybe you disagree with this appraisal, and that's totally okay, but I think my logic is pretty sound. Now, let's just say that isn't an issue at all, and we look at Gotham Knights as a game in its own right. Despite all the initial reviews that claim Gotham Knights is below average or mediocre, it seems that the scores on Steam are mostly positive, though this may change over time. The general consensus seems to be that Gotham Knights isn't a bad game, but it's no masterpiece. So, to begin, let's take a look at some of the aspects Gotham Knights gets right. Number 1. The co-op mode on Gotham Knights is great. Something that many fans have mentioned is that playing Gotham Knights with a friend makes the game much more enjoyable and adds to the overall experience. That's pretty significant, and since there are 4 different characters to choose from, you may just feel inclined to try different combinations and play the game several more times. Number 2. The 4 members of the Bat family are well developed. Each of the characters in Gotham Knights is well written and interesting in their own right. It's great that lesser known characters in the DC universe get some light shed on their individual stories and the chance to be exposed to a wider audience. Batman often steals the show since all the focus is on him, so in Gotham Knights, you'll actually get a chance to get to know Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood a little bit more intimately. Number 3. Animations are dynamic and suitably varied. Gotham Knights features some awesome takedowns, combat moves, cinematic sequences, and interrogations. The movements of characters and objects feel natural and adds to the visceral feel of the game, making for a more immersive and engaging experience overall. Number 4. Character customization is fantastic. Another great aspect of Gotham Knights is the sheer number of suits and accessories you can unlock and equip each of the 4 characters with. You can customize each of the knights down to the finest details, so you should have a lot of fun experimenting with loadouts and deciding on the looks you like best for your hero or heroes of choice. Number 5. There are enough side quests to keep you interested. Gotham Knights is a fun open world game, and there are a number of different side missions and experiences for you to enjoy. What's more, even after you've completed the main story, there will still be side quests for you to enjoy. This may not be groundbreaking stuff, but if you want to max out your playtime and are a completionist, then Gotham Knights won't disappoint you. Chapter 2. Unfortunate Miscalculations and Bones of Contention. Now before I move on, I want to point out that there are a wide array of opinions out there on certain aspects of Gotham Knights, so some of the downsides I'm about to mention are entirely subjective. In other words, if you don't think some of these points are valid, you're not alone. However, there are some things that the vast majority of players agree on, so I'll discuss those first. Number 1. Gotham Knights suffers from several performance issues and bugs. The main complaint from a lot of gamers is that Gotham Knights crashes constantly and suffers from some substantial optimization issues, primarily in the frame rate department. If you want a smooth gaming experience, you will almost certainly struggle to find it with this current iteration of Gotham Knights. I assume some patches will be out soon enough to address some or all of these issues, so the pain and suffering is very likely temporary. However, just how long you'll have to wait, I'm not so sure. Number 2. The city of Gotham feels kinda empty? The world in Gotham Knights is an open sprawl, and while there's plenty of places to explore and missions to take on, some places do feel decidedly deserted. However, this is Gotham, and while certain areas are teeming with people, others are virtually devoid of human life at certain times of the day. I'm not so sure this is so much a downside as a general observation from fans and reviewers, but to be honest, if I was a citizen in Gotham, I'd be very hesitant to go out at pretty much any time of the day. Number 3. While the story isn't bad, most fans hate the ending. Alright, so some people have called the story rote and predictable, but many fans say it's actually very decent. That said, the general consensus is that the main story's ending straight up sucks. Don't worry, I'm not going to post any spoilers, but I guess the best advice I can give you is try not to have any expectations. That probably doesn't make sense, but if you play the game and reach the end, you'll see what I mean. Number 4. Combat is problematic according to many fans. This one's another that's up for debate, and while some players seem to have no problem with the combat system, others say it feels heavy and that all the characters feel the same in the end. I personally don't think the combat system is perfect, and it could be a little smoother in some regards, but I think it would be remiss to call it bad or wooden. You may find the combat slower than other Batman games, but what you do is actually deliberate, so if you know what you're doing, button mashing should be kept to a minimum. Number 5. Some boss fights are a little lackluster. Gotham Knights features many of the awesome villains from the franchise, including Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, and Clayface, but some boss fights simply entail cheesing one or two buttons and occasionally avoiding a counterattack. While the fights aren't bad, they're somewhat unimaginative and may annoy some players looking for more of a challenge and variation in their gaming experience. Number 6. The loot and crafting system leaves much to be desired. From what it seems, most fans tend to agree that the crafting and loot system is a little odd, while others have gone as far as to call it straight up trash. To be fair, the system does get a little better as you progress and build up towards more varied and effective gear, but as a result of Gotham Knights' UI, which is more like a downloadable mobile game, you may be pulling your hair out more often than not. The main downsides I've managed to gather from playing, reading other opinions, and checking forums consists of the performance issues, disappointing ending to the story, and the terrible UI and underwhelming crafting system. These are definitely some major problems, but these aside, is Gotham Knights truly worthy of the heavy criticism it received at first? Well, no. Gotham Knights has some problems, but overall, it's a decent game with many redeeming qualities. Chapter 3. A fair comparison? Gotham Knights has quite the name to live up to, and for it to match or somehow best the Batman Arkham trilogy, it would have had to have been something truly groundbreaking. Unfortunately, it just isn't. Numerous comparisons have been made between Gotham Knights' graphics and those seen in Batman Arkham Knight, which is now 7 years old. Granted, the graphics are great in Batman Arkham Knight, but Gotham Knights' graphics aren't bad. It just seems they've been geared for play on a mobile device or tablet. The game's UI also seems to strongly suggest this, but in all honesty, comparing Gotham Knights with the Arkham trilogy isn't all that helpful. We're talking different developers, different settings, even different mechanics and aesthetic values. And as one reviewer pointed out, making one comparison then means you need to make even more comparisons ad nauseum. However, it is a little fairer to make comparisons between Gotham Knights and Warner Bros. Montreal's 2013 hit Batman Arkham Origins. And what can I say? Even after 9 years, it's still a great game with a fantastic storyline, amazing gameplay, smooth graphics, epic boss battles, and a ton of replayability. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. A good 91% of gamers on Steam really love Arkham Origins and praise it for its many positive aspects. Could Gotham Knights have been as good as, if not better, than Arkham Origins? Absolutely. I think the main problems Gotham Knights has, other than having to conform to a very high standard, is all the bugs and performance issues it struggled with. Moreover, the game just needed a little more polish and smoothing out before it saw release, but now it'll come down to patches to resolve these issues. Chapter 4. Still worth the trouble. So in conclusion, should you rush out and buy Gotham Knights? No. But is Gotham Knights an unfixable bad game? Also, no. Best bet in my view is to wait for some of the big issues to be patched as well as some content updates before buying. But if you're a die-hard Batman fan and are okay with the possible downsides, then I think you'll be more than happy with Gotham Knights. It really is a pity that this game didn't get a little more love and attention before release, and it's also a pity it's gotten what I'd call a lot of unwarranted hate. Gotham Knights isn't perfect, and it's not quite on a level with other Batman titles, but if you're willing to overlook its shortcomings, there's definitely some fun to be had here. So, what do you think of this Gotham Knights analysis? Was I fair and balanced in what I said, or did I just get a whole lot horribly wrong? Be sure to let me know in the comments. If you want more content like this, please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video when it releases. See ya!